I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call. Barrier. Dave Campbell.
Here.
Jim Fowley. Larry Sear.
Here.
Mark Severs.
Here.
Bill Wilson.
Here.
Venus Shade.
Here. So now is our time for hearing of persons present. Mr. Basom and Mr. Morrison, you are on our list for presentation.
Good evening, everybody. Like most everybody knows who I am. There's some copies. We're given an update on the Central District Firemen's Convention. If there's not enough, let me know. I got a couple here yet. That's your original. Start off, we'll apologize that we should have done this 2 or 3 months ago. We had some issues with leadership, and in the last 2 months, we've reorganized, got some new leadership, and we're proud to say we're here to present this, that we are 100% committed to making this happen with your guys' consent. So we drew up a plan of an idea of what it's going to look like for the weekend of August 13th, 14th, and 15th in 2020. So the big thing is we have the agenda. So you get on the agenda, we're trying to keep everything localized to where it's at. We don't want it spread out all over the place. Because in the next 6 to 8 months, we're going to be looking at permits, getting with Mr. Fink, Mr. Clemens here with the police department and working out limitations. Our ideas right now, limitations is Rec Park. This late in August, in the summer, we shouldn't have any sports going on. So the quiet end of the camping is going to be at the far end. Entertainment at the ball field, and then the other campsites up at the other end, closer to Hale. With all the meetings and everything pretty much happening at the rec building. So we're going to need permits for the parade, which we'll go through. Yeah, streets, recs, and the state. Obviously, it's going to take a couple months to get permits. Am I correct there? 3 months. So, there's plenty of time in that aspect to get things changed. If there's questions, if there's concerns. All 3 fire departments within the Lewistown Borough are 100% committed. At the last fire committee meeting, Scott, we had the discussion that you were present at. The 3 there says we're in. And their representation couldn't be here tonight because they had other events going on, which was fine. So they're in. I talked to my treasurer, secretary. We're on board 100%. All of our guys, they want to see this happen. Why we want this to happen? It's going to be good for Lewistown Borough. It's going to be good, business-wise. The businesses are going to get tons of business within downtown. You give them a chance to sponsor the books, which there's a sponsor request in there. They get ads, and this central little booklet gets sent to all fire companies in the district. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
So pretty much within the state of Pennsylvania, am I right? Right. So all these little booklets, so if somebody says, well, we're going to get $500, put an ad, it's going to get shipped to Erie. So who's to say somebody passing through Lewistown says, hey, I saw downtown LIP in an ad, well, let's check this place out. We get them at the firehouse, we see them. If we're in the area, you stop and check these places out. Local business is what we're about and raising money. So the campsites, that's another one. I want to say at the last, not this past one in East Freedom, it had been the one before, I don't recall where it was at. They got about 200 campers. So we did an average of the last 3 to 5 years, about 150, 160 entries per convention. Its highest was 250 or 220, is that correct, Chief? Somewhere around there?
Yeah,
the lowest was, was 75 to 100, but weather played a factor. Location, if it was in Nannyglow twice within 5 years, it's going to fluctuate. And then also, what the games, who's hosting it, that plays into it also. The rules and regulations, Central District, they do their lockdown. Obviously, we're going to have our own set of rules. And that's something that will come when we sit with Mr. Finks, Mr. Clemens, and we talk, listen, what do we want to do? So any times, I did read in here, it said quiet times midnight. Well, we have the ability to change that. We can change what we need to adapt to the Lewistown Borough. And the sponsors. So, as far as alcohol, that's going to be a hot topic. We're hoping with Rec Park, keeping everything confined. I call it the perimeter of Rec Park. You have the highway on one side, the guardrail, you have the fencing at the trailer court, and you have the hills the whole way around. There was a couple questions, what do you do with the playground? Well, I know what you do with the playground. You get some stakes and you put no trespassing signs every 5 feet around it, and then there's no liability on the borough of Lewistown on that. Or we get the mesh fencing. We post as much stuff as possible. That $1.25 sign is worth $1 million in my opinion. So we block all that stuff off. The alcohol cannot leave the confines, the perimeter of Rec Park. That's where the open container rule is going to come into effect. If we can keep it confined to Rec Park, anything out of there, the police department has no bearing on us. They can do what they need to do. I don't, I've been into some that it's the whole town. People just walk around with beer. We're not going to have that. It's Rec Park and that's it. So you're not going to be walking up Dorcas Street with a beer in your hand. If you are, well, the police department's going to have their say in it. And that'll be well noted when we send this back to the convention committee, of our set of rules. We're going to be strict. There was issues 35 years ago when it was here, and there's no issues. So if anybody knows how I run a firehouse, it's zero tolerance. We're gonna lock down, but we want them to have fun as well. All the games will be done at Rec Park. We'll have water. They supply the fire trucks to run all the games. They pretty much come in and run the show as far as game-wise and everything. We just supervise at that point. So going forward, I guess at this point, if you guys have any questions, please hammer us. If it's email form right now, call me. We want to see this happen, so we're on the fast track to making this happen. And we feel this is going to be a good stepping stone in the right direction as far as the building and consolidation of the Lewistown Fire Department. We're going to work as all three in the future. We might as well start now and say here and prove that we can do it. We want to do it. Because there's a lot of planning that's going to start once we get the approval. Once we start to the end of this, it's three working as one. So, did I miss anything? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, fundraising for it. I did miss that. Central District says $20,000 we should have in an account. We called Central District and said, hey, what's the timeline? So we told them everything we had and what was going on and got some advice, and they said, we're on track. We talked about doing some fundraising. If we can pull it together, 2 fundraisers, we should be able to have plenty of money in the account if we do it right and plan it right. We do a couple bingos and we're good to go. I mean, it's planning and working together. The purchase, we got to purchase the mugs and, work with Lingles and the t-shirts and all that stuff, but all the money will come back in. So it's not only a fundraiser for us, it does the borough well too, as far as getting the businesses in, Lewistown Borough out there. So, now I guess, any questions, anybody?
Right now, you don't have the money in place at the moment.
There's $2,500. So, we did some fundraising, and when I started out, I said about the leadership. So the leadership we had, we don't know what happened. I'm not gonna down the guy, I'm not gonna praise the guy, but there was a gap. You know, so with talking to Scott over the last 2 or 3 fire committee meetings, this last one was very crucial because we needed to make a change. So Abby emailed Mr. Corbin of the Central Districts and said, this is what we have, what do we need to do? Well, Mr. Carter needed to quit or hand over everything to the Brooklyn. So Bill and Delbert, which is their secretary, treasurer, these guys took over. So I got a text from Delbert saying, we want you guys involved. We want to make this happen. And same with the city. City got the same text. Because at that point it was either we're going to start now or it's not going to happen. Because it, you know. So we decided we're going to make this happen. You know, there's no question. If it's good for us, it's good for you guys. So as far as Central District says, the bank account, everything's fine. You know, it's once we get the approval and we start moving forward, we're good to go.
Yeah, the one thing, Brandon, you might want to let these folks know about, Brandon's the brains, him and Abby are the brains and the driving force behind this band bash that they have annually. I think this was the 5th one?
7th.
7th?
Yeah.
And let them know approximately what you cleared on Saturday night?
So we cleared $6,500 on Saturday night. You know, we do 7 bands, 12 hours of music, we provide food, $20 a ticket. We had roughly 350 people there. And on average, we do average 350 people a year. You know, it's something we take pride in doing, and everybody seems to enjoy it. So, you know, we do another one in Granville. So, big events is, you know, I've worked in business for many years. You know, big events is no sweat off our back. You know, we enjoy it. So putting something like this together is, I don't want to say easy, because nothing's easy. It's going to be challenging, but I'm confident 100% that we can do this. And not have any egg on our face as far as the borough and the fire departments.
I don't want to discuss it anymore than I don't know what we have here, but I think about some things. I don't think Rec Park's really set up to accommodate camping, and I'm not in favor of having alcohol in Rec Park, period.
And that's something I get. We're not looking for approval as far as using certain facilities at this point. That was our idea. So we have no problem coming and sitting with you guys saying, hey, well, here's our idea about having alcohol here. And that's fine. You know, it's not going to take just us. It's going to take your guys' input and help to put this together as well. Because obviously the planning and the permits and stuff's going to come through here. It's the okay to say, hey, let's do this. Let's put Lewistown Borough on the map and make some money and do good for the local businesses. The rest of it, we can sit down in a meeting and say, okay, well, we don't like this, but what if we did this? You know, we can discuss and go back and forth, and we can explain to you why we picked there, and you can explain to us why you don't like there, why you like this place. So that's something, you know, in 6 months we can sit and say, you know, because the camping stuff don't have to go out. I mean, it's next year till all this stuff gets sent out. So I'm just giving you a rundown of our idea.
Yeah, I'm just giving some thoughts that I had.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about the other council members that were on the table here, but that was some of my thoughts.
Right, and that's fine. Like I said, tonight, all we're looking for is the approval to move forward with this. You know, because, you know, we want to see this happen. I can tell you, all 3 of our stations have had meetings and discussed it with the chief. You know, this is going to be good for us and you guys. So as far as the details, yeah, that all can be worked out amongst us.
It's always good for our community if we get people into our community.
And I mean, you're going to bring in, and just getting, say, 200 campers in here, that you might have, there's a limit on people per, I think it's like, is it 4 per, I'm going to say it's like 4 per site. So you're going to have people that are just going to come in for the day, just for the games, or even at night for the entertainment. You know, so you could probably expect anywhere from, I would say, 4 to 1,000 people come through this town on the weekend. You know, 400 people in this borough is going to be a major impact for the local businesses.
Is entertainment at night gonna be a nuisance to the people who live down, residents live down that area?
Well, I have a lot of experience in that as well, so.
Is there a time on that?
There is a time.
Night and midnight.
If you, and that, like I said, we can do 7 to 10. I don't. If you set the entertainment up, years ago, they brought in a country act. Wade Hayes was on the ball field wreck. They put the flatbeds at the backstop and pushed everything towards the road. So when you get your backdrops up, anything behind the speakers, you barely hear. So at 10 o'clock at night, for anything behind the speakers, it's not going to be loud and a nuisance to town. If you're pushing everything towards the road,
Okay.
it's all going to go. So when you get your backdrop up, you're going to have a solid wall behind the band yet as well. So sound, it won't be a nuisance to the trailer park, any of that. So I can guarantee that.
It won't be close to the residents down here, the trailer park and all that.
Yeah, I mean it'll sit there and you're going to be able to hear it, but you're not going to be able to hear the projected sound.
Sure.
Like when we did Firehouse, the 90s rock band. So they could hear it the whole way up the Locust, the whole way up river. My in-laws live in the trailer park in Greenville. They couldn't hear it. I mean, now you're looking at a mile by the way the crow flies, but still, something that big of that stature, you're not going to be able to.
No, I agree with it. It's good for the town. I've been involved in some of the years myself. I know all about it and everything, but
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody's taking a little by the horns.
Absolutely.
Well, it was
Yeah,
fun.
Stepping
I
up.
think it's a really good thing. We just have to fine tune the details in terms of any liability exposure, and I think it's a good thing for.
I agree. I think there's some things that need fine tuned a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, most definitely, and that's good. That's more than us. I mean, that's more than us as a fire department. You guys are going to have to be involved in that, hands down. It was requested to have some type of a detail, some type of a backline, to what we were looking at, and then it's just on paper. A little bit of a scribble, as you can see on the front page that I did. The reason why I was late, because the dates were wrong. I had to fix the dates real quick. So anything can be changed. So that's not a problem.
So we need a motion to allow Brandon and his team to continue with the planning of the convention.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second
Any
discussion.
other council members have any concerns or questions?
I mean, for me, I've kind of been hashing it out with these guys in fire committee meetings, so I think okay at this point as far as questions or.
The one thing the district now does is they put together like I'll call it dummy-proof blueprint for holding these district conventions. I mean, I think it's 4 years out
Yeah.
until the actual day of the convention, exactly what needs to be done when. And there's a whole chapter in there about alcohol. And they are very in tune with the concerns of the communities that annually hold these conventions.
I worked in the beer industry for 12 years, so the LCB laws that's another thing that, that's, I'm not, as long as we can set it here, we can, as far as the licensing, it will be, we're good with having the knowledge there as well, so.
Okay, is it a vote? Your roll call?
Frank Barrier,
Yes.
Dave Campbell,
Yes.
Jim Felmy,
Yes.
Larry Sear,
No.
Mark Severs,
Yes.
Bill Wilson,
Yes.
Dina Shaver.
Yes.
Thank
It's like
you.
you guys have your
Thank
work
you very
cut out
much.
for you.
Yes, we do.
Good
That's all
luck.
right. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Consent agenda. Is there anything that anyone would like pulled out of the consent agenda or discussion from there?
I just have one on the approval of the scheduled bills. The Fidelity bond, I see it's Diana's. Is yours and Scott's on different periods, pay periods? To pay the premium or?
Ours is middle of separate.
That's what I mean, so is Scott's coming at a future date, or?
Yes.
Downstairs. Okay. That's great. Okay.
And I've seen this before, I wanted to ask, just kind of an informational thing. I always know where around the run.
Right.
Where around.
There's one at the trail, and there's one at the park.
You'll see one more down at the girls' soccer field whenever they start in their season.
Why don't we use the restrooms that are at Rec Park and
Which ones?
The ones up by the ball field.
Are the ones in the community center?
Well, yeah, there are some outside of the community center, there's some down there at the ball field too, I don't understand why we.
Yeah, we had a discussion on the last Tuesday's rec board meeting. Those bathrooms are, I don't even have the adjective to describe how bad they are.
Deplorable.
Yeah, they're deplorable. So they're gonna take the Little League, we put a new roof on that building last year to try and save the building. They have offered up to put new lighting, put new fixtures in this year. So we've got to discuss that at the next rec board meeting. I think we're gonna get that happen, and there's no reason. The problem you have is when we open whether it's the community center or the Little League restrooms, they get destroyed. Yep, they rip the fixtures off the wall, they get trashed, unfortunately.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion. Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, regular agenda. I guess we're up to you, Miss Diana.
We received financial compliance monitoring of our CDBG program through DCD. Last month I sent it out to you, and I'm happy to report that there were no findings or concerns in it. The borough also received our statement of fuels allocation on March the 1st in the amount of $233,739.08. And what I need to get council's approval for is we received 2 sewer exonerations. One was for Linda Ryan at 3 Summit Manor. She stated that there was a water leak with the hose outside the house. And I had Rex would verified everything, that it did not go down the sewer. And the average consumption annually is, quarterly is 16,000 gallons. So it would be up to council to exonerate the remaining amount of $330.48 would be the total exoneration.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, then I also have another one. This is from a Ronald Chalon. There was a letter request for a water leak that went into the basement floor, and again, Rex went out and checked it, and it did not go down the sewer. They should have been billed the minimum bill, and it would be, they were billed 80,000 gallons, and we're looking to exonerate the 74,000 gallons. And that amount total would be $479.52, and I would need to seek.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, and then I need council's approval to bid out the materials, equipment, and goods manual. Annually, we bid it out in order to get the best pricing. It represents our anti-skid, our 9.5 mm, our base course, but I do need council's approval to do that.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And then I have one other thing. We're based, since we're a municipality, we have to abide by the records retention manual based upon what we can discard and when we can discard it. And we have some items that we are able to discard now. And by resolution, I have to get council's approval to be able to discard these items.
So moved.
Who we use for that?
We did use Nisley or shredding, but they actually went over to Iron Mountain. I guess they changed
I'm
hands.
familiar with
Oh,
it,
you are?
yeah.
I'll second motion, Jim's motion.
Discussion? All those in favor, oh, sorry.
The list that we were provided in this regard, that was the list of the documents to be
Correct.
visually correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's everything. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Rex?
Last month, there were 36 different violations, 12 of them were refuse accumulation. Permit-wise, we issued 22 permits this year compared to 12 last year. Zoning fees collected this year was $3,648.01 compared to $3,459.33 last year. And then one sidewalk permit this year compared to one last year. And year-to-date renovations total cost is $428,488. And I'm sure everyone's aware Dollar General is now open.
Oh, we did not have any open, but,
They had a soft opening over the weekend.
so are they officially open?
Yeah, they're open. They have to do their final paving course as soon as weather breaks. Then they'll be done. Any questions?
Questions for Rex? Okay. Bob?
Thank you, Madam President. Last month, the fire department ran 30 alarms. Quick rundown, 3 of those was building fires with minor damage. We had 18 medical assists when we assisted EMS crews. The reason that number's kind of high is during the bad weather, we had snowstorms and whatever. It's a pretty hard job for them guys to get their gurneys and ladders up through yards and sidewalks and stuff with a couple inches of snow. So we had about a 24-hour period there where the fire department ran EMS calls to give them assistance. We had like a squad go out of each station who was first due, and they would shovel the sidewalks, do whatever they could to help get the EMS crew in there to work on the patients pretty quick. That's the reason the EMS calls are so high. Also, we ran 2 motor vehicle accidents with injuries. We had a carbon monoxide incident, 3 power lines down, cover assignment, which is a standby assignment. 2 of the stations went to Juniata County last month. They had a major barn fire down there. They were stripped down, so 2 of the bar stations went down covered for them until they got things back in service. We had an automatic alarm and severe weather conditions, which was a tree uprooted on top of North Pine Street, pretty large tree, fell into a house. We got wrecks up there immediately, and he got things moving pretty fast to get the tree cut away to prevent further damage. Also, the fire department last Monday met among themselves to discuss, or we had a chance to read the consultant's report, and we had some discussions about consolidation. People expressed their opinions. It looks like we're getting the same thought of mind between the 3 companies. We still have some more meetings scheduled. In fact, there's a workshop meeting this coming Monday here at 6 o'clock. Things are moving on and coming together. Also, on that note, 2 of the companies, the city and the Brooklyn, have hired a lawyer to make sure that things are done right in the station. They're both using the same lawyer. His name is Kim Hauser. He's from Greensburg. He specializes in fire department legalities. So they're using him to work on separating the social end from the firefighting end. They're going to follow his lead and advice on how to do that, make sure everything is done properly. Also, another note, Sunday a week ago, we had a fire down at the Mifflin County Prison. and I've often wondered about that place if we did have a fire. It was an industrial dryer, caught in fire, and there's a pretty good fire going there. Fortunately, one of the captains in the fire department works there at the 911 center as a dispatcher. He was just getting off of work, so he got across the street pretty quick. Got inside, radioed back, gave us an idea of what was going on. The sprinkler system down there done a heck of a job. It had things pretty well drowned out till we got there. A couple of fire extinguishers took care of it. A lot of water damage. One thing I feel good about, apparently the prison has a good system into effect, because no time is firefighters in danger. There's guards with them at all times. As soon as we had the fire taken out, got the sprinkler system shut off, Bethlehem County's maintenance department was there, and they took care of everything else. So they have a pretty good system down there. And that's about all I have here. Any questions for me?
Just so council knows, that workshop Monday night is an advertised workshop, so any and all council members can participate if so desired. It's 6 o'clock this coming Monday right here.
Good.
Good job, Bob. Thank you. Pam, my turn? Your turn.
I think I'll stand there. We had some excitement over the weekend with our fourth in Mifflin County High School history, our fourth state wrestling champion with Trey Kai. And I had set up a proclamation for him that's being read by the director out of the ceremony tonight at the school after the parade. There will be a parade at 6 o'clock coming through town. I will be leaving here for a couple minutes, and I'll be back for that. I'd like to share this with you if I could. Trey Kai, Class 3A PIAA State Wrestling Champion, Saturday, March the 9th, 2019. Whereas Trey is the first sophomore in the Mifflin County wrestling history to win this title. Whereas known by his friends as Dudley, he is the fourth state champion from Mifflin County High School. Whereas the long 10-hour wait between the semifinals and the finals must have seemed like an eternity to Trey and his family. Whereas as fans at the Giants Center watched and those at home listened on the radio, hearts were pounding. Whereas the residents of Mifflin County are so proud of Trey's accomplishments and thank him for allowing us to be part of his amazing journey. Now therefore, I, Deborah A. Bargo, Mayor of the Borough of Lewistown, and on behalf of Lewistown Borough Council and staff, do honor and congratulate Trey Kai on this wonderful accomplishment and wish him continuous success. We are all so proud of him, and it's signed and sealed by me, so that'll be read at the ceremony.
Nice job, Mayor.
Send our congratulations to Trey. Chief Clements.
Yes, for the month of February, we had 510 calls for service. Officers wrote 105 traffic citations, 13 non-traffic citations, 14 written warnings. For this month coming up, well actually in April 6th, we're having civil service testing for the position of police officer for the borough. Accepting applications till March 29th will be the deadline for that, so anyone who may be qualified or wishes to apply can get their application in by March 29th. The only other issue I have to discuss on the agenda here is the approval for purchase of 3 new laptop computers for the police vehicles. This is an item that we weren't anticipating for this year. We were hoping to get another year out of the current computers we have in the cars. However, they seem to be giving us a lot of problems, and they need to be replaced. The ones we have now are obsolete. They're beyond the point where we can keep repairing them and making them function. Talking with our IT company, GME, we came up with the type of computer that they suggested we purchase for this, more of a rugged computer to meet all the specs for security and so forth. The total cost for the computers is $5,270. That's for 3. And the DA's office, I contacted them and asked them if they would be willing to put anything toward the purchase of the computers, and they agreed to pay 50% of the cost. So we're looking at around $2,600, maybe a little more, but around that amount for the purchase of them.
Need a motion?
Any motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Where in the budget will this be paid from?
Dave feels that he will be able to carve out $2,600 out of the existing budget.
Yes, not something we had in the original budget, but I think we can carve out some money from other areas of the budget to cover the 2,600. It wasn't something we were expecting for this year, but
We appreciate the district attorney's office, their support of their input. It was a good thing to reach out to them in that regard.
yeah, we work closely with them, and especially with the drug task force and so forth, so we have a good working relationship with them, and we also appreciate them being willing to contribute to them.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, it's Chief.
Chief,
I'd like to see the department step up, and maybe get 2 more interns, get 2 interns this summer if we could.
Yeah, we can discuss that.
Okay.
I thought we would discuss it in
We can.
executive, but
We can.
whenever you think we need to discuss it, it's fine.
All right, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay. Is that it, Chief?
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Laura?
Yes, just pulling over a few of the notes from last week's rec board meeting. We did have a really nice presentation from Bill Eversole and 2 other gentlemen. They were there to present the information for their facility use. They gave a detailed cost on what they pay for the usage of electricity, nets, turf, concession stand, all costs relating to maintaining the field. They gave pros and cons of why they would like to keep it like their field, and, you know, and I learned a little bit about the difference between softball and baseball and how it affects the mound and things I never thought I'd ever learn. But it was a really nice presentation. I mean, I can understand why they're very guarded of everything that goes on down there. So at least I understand that, which I would have never understood that before. So that was very nice. Old business was just basically the events, March, April, and May, 11, 11, and 7. Of course, they're still tentative because I still have put out open days like on Facebook, like March weekends, different things like that. Actually, the other weekend, I did tell Scott, I had a last minute, a girl called on Friday and came into the activity room on Saturday for a birthday party. Like that quick. So, you know, it is possible to get somebody last minute that you never know about. And just some of the ideas that were to improve the revenue that we had talked about last time. And then new business, discussion on how to check and balance the funds received daily from Rec Park Pool, positions for Rec Park Pool that were advertised, and hourly wages with those. Also that the Mifflin County Youth Baseball that was ratified. And it was discussed about Babe Ruth. They would like to use the outside restrooms at the Lewistown Community Center, and they said they'd be responsible for damage or vandalism, unlocking and locking after the game. But it was brought up, well, should there be some kind of fee for cleaning them? And I can understand, I've heard some of the gentlemen that come there for different things that work with the streets say about how nasty sometimes they are. Some of the things that have happened that they've had to take care of, so I can understand that. Calvary Baptist Church, Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 13th, they have a all-access rental, the 12th through the 14th, that they're having a potter in on Friday, which I'd love to see that. He somehow ties it into biblical days of like potting. So they rented the whole thing because then on Saturday they're going to have an event. I did talk to Babe Ruth. They're pretty sure that April 13th, that they will not be down there, that they will be at a tournament of some kind, because he suggested on taking the kids down there with the steps there for an Easter egg hunt, instead of just right around the building, because he thought, wow, what happens if someone darts out between two cars or something when they're doing the Easter egg hunt. So I am gonna double check with Candy though, but she's pretty sure the 13th, they are not down there, like right down there from the building. And then recommendations were made to update the Google Maps, Facebook, recreation page, the rental agreements, and the Rec Park Pool Facebook page. Colby had brought a list with him that he would like to see it all tied in, kind of like that it flows, that it makes sense, so. And he was a great help with Facebook, so I'm sure he'll be a great help with all that.
I'm sure he will.
That.
And I have to say, I've been seeing more and more posts about the community center on Facebook, and it's great to see. I try to share as much as I
Although
can.
there actually were 2 people that actually contacted me, because that's why I started putting, you can call or contact us on Facebook. I have had 2 people come back to me wanting to know information, like the price of the room, how many people it holds. 2 ladies. Now, so far I have no rental from them, but at least some interest came back on Facebook about renting the facility. So that might help generate more revenue.
Maybe the advertising price is right.
Yeah. And I think that's about it till the next meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Remy.
Thank you. First issue is a cooperation agreement for demolition of the Valley Street property, 672 and 674 Valley Street. This has been approved by the county and is presented for Borough Council's approval. Basically what's going on here is that the county collects money, $15, for deeds and mortgages that are recorded pursuant to what's called the Demolition Funds Act. That money has been kind of growing in an account, and now they're at the point where they're going to be able to utilize some of that money for demolition purposes. So what this agreement talks about is the borough tearing the properties down, and then the direct cost of actual demolition, not permit fees, administrative fees, things like that, will be reimbursed at a 50% rate by the county up to $10,000. If and when the property is sold, then there's a provision in there to proportionally pay back some of the funds to the county to go back into that fund for more demolitions. So what we're talking about is acquiring this property from the repository, and then pursuant to this agreement, entering into a contract to tear it down and possibly sell it later on. So that's submitted for your approval.
I have a question. I was looking at the draft we had last month, and I see that number 4 and number 8 got changed on there. I mean, it's not really anything significant, it all goes back to the first page.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of back and forth with the county.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then, not the anal, but when you get up to the second page, the second paragraph, the sentence,
Mm-hmm.
provide the county with a portion of the grammatical error there.
Okay. Duly noted.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the agreement for the demolition of the property on Valley Street? Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Okay, take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
All right, so then you have the original. The next item is something that came out of law and ordinance. It's we're going to talk about possibly adopting what's called a LERTA, that stands for Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act ordinance. What this is an ordinance to help combat blight, and it does that by allowing people who improve properties to have an abatement for a 10-year period of time on the real estate taxes that would be due on the improvements. So they would continue to pay the same real estate taxes on the, what you call the base cost of it. And then over a 10-year period, they'd pay a percentage of, or they'd get a percentage off for the improvements that were made. And I mean, obviously, it's made to kind of stimulate growth in blighted areas. So this isn't really for advertisement yet. This is more, I think, out of law and ordinance to say, is this something that Borough Council wants the committee to pursue? Because there's still some things that need to be done. The two main things being determining where in the borough this would apply to and what the exemption schedules for commercial and for residential properties would be. So, you know, there's numbers in the draft that you have. Those numbers I really just put in there. They're not final numbers, they're just kind of placeholding numbers for the committee and the council to figure out in the long run. So
It's basically a thing to stimulate growth in the borough.
exactly, yeah, that's what it's for. It's to take properties that are, you know, not in good
But
shape,
it's blighted
put money
property,
into
people
them.
can buy property, incentive to fix them up and improve them, so.
Yeah.
Well, you set the limit, like you could say, well, it has to be that minimum $25,000 or $20,000, correct?
Right, well, the way it is it's whatever is the actual cost of the improvement, so it's anything that would require a building permit is kind of like the base, I guess.
What constitutes an accessible improvement?
Well, honestly, the county is the one who ultimately, they're the, you know, the chief assessor is the one who determines that. But what we're doing is the triggering mechanism for doing this is a building permit. So if this is approved, then the exemption will be for the actual cost of the improvements.
But again, if we don't know what an accessible improvement is, what are we trying to do here? In other words, what is an accessible improvement? Take, for example, a building on Valley Street that is condemned. If you would fix that building up that it's not condemned anymore, would there be a change in assessment?
Honestly, Frank, I don't know, because I
Well,
don't,
there you go. You're trying to alleviate blighted property, but I ask a specific question and we don't know.
but you're asking a question that really isn't what I'm telling you. It's not, it's based on the actual cost that that theoretical owner would put into the improvements on that property.
But again, we don't know what an accessible improvement is.
It doesn't matter, Frank, because this doesn't kick into play until it's an accessible improvement. In other words, you're still paying the same amount of tax.
But the thing is, if you want to encourage people to do something and not be taxed on it, they have to know where they stand and what they're doing.
Well, they know what their current tax rate is.
Yes.
If they're improving their property to the point where the county's going to come out and reassess it, that's where this kicks in.
Painting your house does not constitute a new assessment.
I understand that, but I'm asking again, what is an accessible improvement?
Okay, I just want to.
We don't assess, we don't make that assessment. That's what the assessment office
Well, then we need to talk to the assessment office and have them explain to us just exactly what we're doing here.
So Mark, I have a question here, because I actually started looking at some of this on this morning. And what it's telling me on this act, it's saying it only applies to new construction in deteriorated areas and improvements to certain deteriorated business property. And generally, it doesn't apply to homeowners. They wouldn't qualify for this exemption.
Well, there's two acts. One is LERTA and one is it doesn't have a good, right, improvements to deteriorating property act. And that has to do with residentials. Right, LRTA only applies to business.
But the thought was to kind of create some type of combination.
And not to limit the scope in the borough, to make it the whole borough.
I mean, their taxes are all gonna stay the same.
Yes.
Right.
It's the proration of the improvement is where, you know,
They're gonna see a benefit.
If you wanna set up to 10, you wanna do 5, instead of 10, you wanna do 7.
Right, and that's,
Whatever you wanna
we
do.
can decide what we want and how
Right.
much we want it
Yep.
to
It's
be.
basically to give you an incentive to fix,
Exactly.
Correct.
do any repairs or improvements to your property.
It doesn't cost us a thing.
You know, because instead of your taxes going up $100 a year, they're not for the first 5.
Right.
You know, and by that time, you know, you've kind of recouped a lot of your costs already for the improvements you've done to your property. So, I mean, I don't see what it would make a lot of difference, Frank. I mean, whether it's a $50 improvement or a $5,000 improvement, you know, the incentive's there to do something to improve the looks of
In other
your
words,
property.
regardless of what you do, you're not going to be, your taxes aren't going to be increased.
Not
Depends on what
for
you're
not for the first 5, according to this, 5 years, and then a prorated. At the end of 10 years, then you're gonna be paying the full tax on that amount that you put in. But you're gonna have 5 years of no taxes whatsoever, and then 50 down to 10%. But it's still quite an incentive. I mean, to someone, if you're debating whether to put siding on your house and make it look a lot better, you know, but your taxes are gonna go up $300 a year, and then you're a little hesitant to do that. So what they're saying is, well, you put it on in the first 5 years, you're not gonna get a raise at all. So that's $1,500 towards that siding you wanna put on your house.
And then even 5th year, it'll, well, whatever the number is, it'll be 60%, and then.
Yeah, I mean, it's-
40, and then 30.
But you're gonna recoup a lot of your improvement money. It isn't gonna pay for your improvement. Now, there's no way you know they ain't gonna do that.
You know, just getting hammered all at once on it.
But
Right.
But you have a situation, say, Dollar General, they just built a new store there. Put down to rather, you know, not the nicest buildings, but they weren't, I wouldn't consider them blighted. Would they fall under this?
Yeah, that could be something that would be, that type of project could be covered by this, yeah.
Is that a good idea, to let them to abate their taxes on something that they were going to do anyway? CVS tore down an entire block of town.
Does that really apply under this? Like that's a
Well, but
that's a good
here's
point.
two thoughts
I
on
mean, you
it.
want, if you want people to fix blighted properties, and whatever pure fix-up doesn't subject them to an assessment anyway, why would you go to the trouble of passing this ordinance? In other words, there's a difference between an improvement and a repair. You're going to go to a lot of time and trouble and publication costs and ordinance costs to do this. And is it going to be effective? Is it going to benefit anybody? Or is it going to benefit people that we really don't want to benefit?
It's gonna really benefit the guy that comes into town and buys a property that's been sitting condemned for a year or 2, a month, a year or 2 years.
Okay, so he fixes that place up and he gets it back into production. Does that trigger a reassessment?
It's gonna have to.
No, it doesn't have to. You don't know that. Mark doesn't know it. He says that's controlled by the assessment office.
It is controlled, Frank, but I'll tell you from my own, what happened to me. I poured a 14 by 14 piece of concrete out back of my house. Got a permit. They reassessed me.
Oh, well, sure they do.
So it's as
But
little
that's
as,
something new.
as little as adding.
That's not a repair. That's something new.
Because they were there to look at my deck that I repaired, to increase the value for the deck. And then they walked in the backyard, and it was permitted, but they never looked at it originally, the 14 by 14 piece of concrete.
They increased the value of my property for my rear deck because the last time they assessed, they missed it. Not because I built a new deck, they missed it.
Rex, what's gonna happen with all the properties that Ron Shalon has been buying up and totally redoing? Do they get reassessed?
Yeah. I mean, the county, we hand the information to the county, and they choose to go out and look whatever they want.
Because that's a perfect example of where this would really, if somebody that spent a fortune in this town buying up properties and redoing them, I mean, that's somebody that should benefit from something like this.
But again, you don't know if he's been reassessed or not.
Well, and it's just discussion at this point, so we can find the answers to those questions
Well, that's why I'm raising the discussion.
and come back.
Yeah, because this isn't gonna take effect until that second assessment is done. There's an assessment of that structure currently as to its value, or there will be when it's purchased, let's say. But this doesn't come into effect until that second assessment happens, after the property's fixed up, because that's what these
They don't,
reductions
you
are
don't get
based on.
reassessed for fixed up. You get reassessed for improvements. There's a difference.
Frank, why don't we have Rex check with the assessment office?
Well, maybe you need to get the
It's-
assessor in and talk to us.
And we'll trigger,
You always
see
call
what
me
triggers
this
that.
time of the year about why the taxes increase. You have a report every year, and the taxes haven't went up here in the borough, and how long, so she would have information showing what has increased over the last
But
5 years.
Frank's point is, you know, he wants to find out what exactly triggers that assessment. So if we can get someone from the assessment office here, but I do think it's a tool for us to have in the box that people can utilize.
We can sit there and talk about this all evening, we get the
Right.
facts, we're not gonna
So
get it.
we're gonna-
So let's get the facts and come back to it.
Just refer it back to
Law and
ordinance.
ordinance.
That's all we're
But
really
we could
looking
even have the
for.
assessor come into law and ordinance meeting.
Yeah,
That might be more doable.
Didn't we initially talk about the owner requesting an assessment?
I mean, you request the abatement when you get your
Yes.
building permit. Dr. Parcel's, back in 1909, a guy named Dr. Walter Parcells made his will. What he did in that will was, after some contingencies, he left his estate to the Parcells Poor Fund, which was to be administered by 5 people to be appointed by the borough. And the income from his estate was to be used to furnish food, fuel, clothing, shelter, and possibly education to the, what he called the worthy poor of Mifflin County. Dr. Parcells died in 1924. At that time, the borough appointed the first 5 trustees. There was years of litigation about his estate, but in 1927, the trustees got his house at 17 Chestnut Street and a number of double houses on Central Avenue. So they sold his house, put that money into the trust, and then what they did was the trustees would rent these houses on Central Avenue throughout the Depression to people who otherwise wouldn't have anywhere to live. It was almost like a real early public housing project. So after a while, the trustees got tired of renting these properties. They were getting run down. The tenants weren't paying the rent. They were destroying the properties, and the properties were getting to be, depreciating a good bit. So they went to court, and they got permission to sell them. And they sold them and put that money in the fund. Not much happened then for a while, till the late 40s, early 50s. At that point, there were big changes to what they did. They decided, the trustees took it upon themselves, they made the decision that things have changed. We now have things like welfare and Social Security. the needs of the poor have basically been met. We don't really need to worry about that anymore. And what we're going to do is we're going to completely change the focus of this from helping the poor and needy to have food and housing to lending money to people to go to medical school or other related fields. And that's what they started doing. They started lending people money to go to med school, nursing school, pharmacy school, things like that. They had a lot of different fights over the years with the IRS. In 1966, they were allowed to be a 501c3 corporation after considerable back and forth regarding what they were doing with the money and the interest rates they were charging. And in 1975, there was another IRS challenge, and it was ultimately determined that they were a support aid organization rather than a private foundation for tax purposes. So it has been going on, basically run by Lewistown Trust Company and then Juniata Valley Bank, lending out money and having it repaid. They get notes from the people they lend the money to, and the people pay it back over various amounts of time. At present, there's $111,000 in assets in this fund. Now, 27 of those assets, though, are outstanding loans, and the balance of it is in a money market account for the most part. In 2018, if you look at it, interest, dividends, the fund, and payment on loans, interest, the fund brought in about $900. It cost $870 in bank fees, advertising fees, and bonds to run the thing. So it's barely breaking even at this point. The bank, Juniata Valley Bank, is determined, they actually kind of discovered that they weren't really the trustee. They only are the agent for the trust in doing this. They're not happy with the status quo for a number of reasons, and they've advised the mayor and through her borough council that they're not going to continue to run this thing and run these loans as they have in the past. So it's now kind of back in the borough's lap to figure out what to do. The bank, I met with some bank representatives last week. They'll work with the borough to make the transition. They'll continue to manage the money if that's what we want them to do. But I think what the borough needs to do is, pursuant to the will, appoint 5 trustees to run this trust, and then those people are going to have to figure out where this thing is going. I don't know if it's the best idea to continue to do these student loans. There's some issues there that the trustees will have to look at.
Well, there was nothing.
Yeah,
Then you feel legal, you're going to absorb all legal fees and just go on.
So there's some different options. There's the legal doctrine called cypre, which means you can go to a court and say, listen, for whatever reasons, the needs of the community have changed, it's become impractical, this trust really needs to be changed or wound up. That's one option, to essentially get the court to allow the borough to give the money to a more robust functioning 501c3. Another option would be to continue to run it. You could try and, the trustees could try and grow the trust, do fundraising or whatever, and, continue to do what the doctor wanted, but that's really a decision for a later time. So, I was asked to look into this and report on it. That's the status of it as of now. I mean, Mayor, give your 2 cents on it.
I know when I talked to them before, they said that the money could be placed in an account with the borough. And I don't know if that's something we should look at, or, you know, or work with them. They did tell me that they would continue running it as long as we would take on the board trustees' responsibility, like you said. So, I mean, it's a big decision to make. I mean, it's.
There's a
and
current
it's-
board
it's a-
now, right? There are currently members on the trust?
On the committee?
Yeah, you're one of them, correct?
Yeah, I am.
And how many members are on the committee?
Well,
Is there
there should
five?
be 5, but there's not that many now. So
Okay.
It's sort of been the last 2 years, they haven't done a whole lot of it. So we have to probably reinvent the wheel as far as the trustees are concerned. But, I mean, it's not a small amount of money. I mean, it's a large amount of money.
The problem is, it doesn't really generate enough money to justify continuing the way he looked at it, which was to spend the income on the board meeting, because he said, I mean, it really just has been breaking even.
Well, remember when I said to you something about they had told me that if we were to make a change in the trust, we'd have to go through the Attorney General's office?
Yeah, that's that side prey
Did
thing.
they bring that to you too?
Well, I brought it up to them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's definitely one of the things that, you know, I think the trustees, when they get together, are going to have to consider, whether it's practical to continue this, or to spend the money, or to give it to someone else who's actually, you know, spending the money now.
Okay. So what we would need to do at this point is to develop the board again.
Right.
Okay. Then it would be the board of trustees' decision as to where this money should go.
Yes.
Okay.
If you have a situation where the fund for the board scholarships and gradually just get rid of all its money.
That could be another issue too, yeah. You could
That'd
do
be
it
one
that
way of winding the thing up. You know, it might take several years to, there are other scholarship agencies here in the county as well that, you know, grant scholarships.
Couldn't we transfer the money into them?
Well, that's something
That's-
to be looked
that's
at.
one
That's where we have to go to court, yeah.
I'd fit that together to somebody in the doctors or nursing or
You know,
something.
you have the Justin Henry Scholarship Trust, and
So that's a good one.
you had the Williams family had a trust, Village Pride in Belleville, and, you know, they grant scholarships. So, you know, there's other agencies here that are functioning, that aren't dormant like Dr. Parsons. But Dr. Parsons has to wake up and figure out what to do.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that the Academy has recently started their foundation for items such as this, and they're looking at scholarship opportunities for nursing and medical and all sorts of things, so it might be a good resting place with the board in place already, so all food for thought.
Thanks.
Look into that, Mayor.
I'm on it.
We'll expect a report next meeting, Mayor.
Just try and find it.
Oh, we'll find you. Anything else, Mark?
That's all, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Scott?
Okay, first item on the agenda is we've been working on this GPS tracking of borough vehicles for, I don't know, the last year. And looking for approval to move forward with it. This came out of finance at last month's meeting. And basically, it's we have a huge investment in vehicles in the borough. And we feel actually through the tracking of the vehicles, just in savings on gas alone, that we can pay for the annual fees of the GPS tracking. You can see where the vehicles have gone, you can see where they currently are, how fast they're driven, how they're braking, what every driver's behavior are with each vehicle, and maintenance, the amount of time the vehicle's left idling. So it was a motion and a second to bring it to council tonight what you're looking at is, the motion was to track all the borough vehicles, so there's 20 of them. It will be $3,348 a year to track them. And we feel that that money, because Frank's gonna ask the question, where's it coming from? We feel that that can be easily made up what the savings are gonna be.
And there is no contract cancellation at any time.
There's no charge for the hardware. There's just a monthly fee. We could try it for 3 months. If we don't like it, we just send back the hardware. No harm, no damage.
No fees.
No fees. So we're not locking ourselves in for any time frame. It's just something we've talked about and we'd like to move forward with.
We have how many vehicles, Scott?
20.
And we put this in all 20 vehicles.
That was the motion at the finance meeting. No, I will, Mark, that's what I thought too. And I made Diana listen. I made Diana listen to the tape when we went back in. It was for all borough vehicles. They made the motion.
We
I
could
didn't
all,
make any motion, so.
I know.
we could always,
I'm in favor of it.
I mean,
Cut it back to
if we see some, yeah, if we see some that we don't really think it's necessary,
Send the hardware back.
I mean, we just tell them we don't want that included anymore. May as well start over.
Then you can put a fence, you might want to tell me, put a fencing up so you can go within the borough, out of the borough, whatever.
Yeah, they call it geo fence, but basically when they zoom down into the borough's location, you can actually put a perimeter where the borough lines are. So anytime that vehicle leaves the borough, it sends you an alarm.
Questions?
Well, my whole position on the whole thing is where I'm not in favor of buying them. Number one is, I feel like this falls under preventive maintenance on our vehicles, where it falls on the department heads, and it also falls on you also, Scott, as well, because that's part of your duties in overseeing the conditions of the equipment, everything of that nature, so, and we're only talking 2 square miles. We're gonna consume some fuel. We're basically in a city where you're gonna consume more gas. And the other thing that I mentioned too is, how many auto claims have we had? Have we had any? The department heads, that's where you put, they fill out a log in the vehicle, the date, the time, in, out, everything. Those logs are updated, they're reviewed, they should be reviewed by you. And for me, I don't see the need to spend that kind of money. And also, the main concern is who's gonna administer it? Who's gonna reinforce when there's insubordination? Who's gonna enforce that? Technically, that should be you, Scott, in doing that. But, who's gonna do that? And the other comment that came up was the fact that if somebody knows that GPS is in the vehicle, they're not gonna drive the vehicle. So that's the concern where, we can spend all this kind of money, but if you're not gonna reinforce it, and there's nobody's gonna reinforce it for insubordination, then it's a total waste of money.
Well, all vehicles have it, so they don't have a choice. They're gonna have to drive a vehicle that has the GPS in it.
It's gonna have to be brought back to council by whoever, I'm assuming Scott,
Well,
that's monitoring it.
That was asked, we actually had a demo from the company at the last finance committee meeting, and that was asked. And there'd be 2 administrators, Diane and I, but then like Tim could track all the streets vehicles, and Ben could track all the refuse vehicles, and Dawn would track all the treatment vehicles, and Dave would track the police vehicles. So it'd be, you can figure out exactly what the hierarchy would be of who's tracking what.
And one area of things, when there's safety concerns, I still have this back in my head, I've had for years. Out in the area of Pittsburgh, I remember years back, there was a police officer got out of his car, just didn't radio in and say he got out of his car, and then got out of his car, was shot, and was killed. They had no idea where he was at, no idea. And same thing had happened to a refugee driver,
Or one of our police officers.
I don't want to say who, but it could be anybody. Yeah. It's just a big safety factor.
Well, Scott, let me ask you this, how do your department heads feel about it?
Why don't you ask them, they're all here.
Any of you guys want to comment?
Wonder if we have to leave the borough to get parts, like say notes for something for a tractor or...
I don't think it's an issue if you're leaving the borough.
Oh, okay.
Everybody understands that.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
Yeah, we're talking.
I think it'd be a great tracking thing for mainly in winter months. I mean, it could be cost efficient. I can see what my guys are doing, what they shouldn't be doing, and make a better plan for plowing the snow during the winter time.
You wouldn't have to go looking for it.
What's your thoughts, Dave?
I mean, I think it can be a safety thing for, being able to locate the officers. I mean, how is that set up? I don't know how the setup is as far as you would get on the computer and have access to their location at all times.
You would have access on your, or your cell phone as well.
It's a web-based application, and yeah, it is in real time.
Do they still do radio checks to calm down the car?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see an issue with it as far as the police department.
Okay, so I just want to comment again. I mean, I'm looking at the minutes, and the only minutes I see is 12 units is all we discussed. I see nothing on here that says 20 units.
Where's the motion? Look at the motion on the minutes.
Well, that wasn't my motion, so, I mean, I'm just saying, the whole discussion was 12.
I know, and I said, Diana, come in here and listen to this song, because I'm gonna get asked at the meeting. Listen to this tape.
That was.
As
Jim
Dave
and
said.
Dan, and that was all on them, but I mean, the whole discussion was 12 units.
So I guess we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we get get the units for 20 people.
We'll give it a trial period, Larry.
Well, that's the beauty of it.
Well, I mean, it really doesn't matter, Frank, because we can come in the first meeting after they've done them and get a report. And
I mean, do you want to carve it in stone if we look at it here in 3 months or something?
I think in all fairness, we should give it at least 3 months.
Who's installing them? And they're gonna be hardwired, or are they just gonna be?
We're gonna plug them in. And anytime they're tampered with, we're gonna know.
I got a question. If, the GPS thing sounds pretty good to me, but you're saying it's web-based, right?
Yep.
Okay, now not only can you guys track it, but if it's web-based and you know enough about computers, the average guy out here in the street can track it. So for the police department, I'm a little concerned on that. I mean, if you got a criminal out there who can track where the police are, what good is GPS?
Yeah, I mean, you have,
They have firewalls and stuff in place from the company.
Scott, you also know that.
Okay, I mean, you know, like I said, I don't know enough about all that, but that would be my only concern.
Right.
The port where they're plugging them in, that OBD2, that's where you have to do diagnostics if you have a problem with the car.
Right.
So what happens then?
Well, I mean,
They have to be.
we communicate.
you just unplug it, plug it right back in, and it comes back online.
Okay.
Throw up what's called an event, but the department head or whoever manages that department would know, well, the vehicle was in for servicing. Or, well, we had to take the battery out of the vehicle, that interrupted the protocol.
Okay, so we do have the motion on the table, so,
I'll second it.
we did get a second, didn't we? Oh, I thought we did, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, I thought we had one. Okay, so take a vote, roll call?
Frank Carrier,
We have a second.
We did, Jim did, yeah.
Right, okay. Yes.
Dave Campbell,
Yes.
Tim Pelmy.
Yes.
Larry Seer,
Yes.
Mark Severs,
No.
Bill Wilson,
Yes.
Ian Shade.
No.
Okay, second item I have on the agenda is just I was always under the assumption, and so was Rex, and so was Diana, that the lot where our police vehicles park was part of the, what's the name of that building? The Crestwell building. Just found out, somebody that's moving into the building called me and was talking about parking places and what we have available. And I was telling them about the $144, there's spaces in the parking lot that they can park. It's a pass. And he was talking about, the owner of the building was saying that there might be an opportunity to get one of the spaces near where the police cars park. And I'm like, well, I have to look into that. So I called Rex and I said, check your GIS map. Who owns that parking lot? Well, it turns out we own that parking lot. So I called the owner of the building and I said, where did you get the spaces from that you've been renting out? Oh, he said, Chief Herkert gave them to me. I'm like, I need to do some checking. I called him back and I said, I went down and saw the chief. We went out and looked at the lot. There's 5 spaces beside the building and 5 across from the building. So a total of 10 that we can rent out. So I called the owner of the building back and I said, I have some good news and some bad news. The amount of spaces we have has increased by 2. The bad news is you no longer get them for free. So we've talked about this at finance, and what I'm asking for is permission to charge, the owner of the building will take all 10, and I told him we would charge him $200 a month, which is
A month or a year?
Per space.
$200 a year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Per
$200
space.
per space. So be an additional $2,000 revenue coming in that we currently don't get.
I'll make the motion, I'll second it.
Discussion, questions?
The only thing is, I want to look at your parking ordinance real quick, because some of this might be addressed in there.
There's no meters at this spot.
There's no meters.
See, I think some of those were reserved for different people over the years.
It used to be reserved for the state hospital.
Yeah.
There used to be placards that were up.
So eventually, you're going to want to look at your ordinance, because you're going to have some things in there that aren't consistent with what's really going on.
Okay.
But you can give that down the line
I think
Yeah.
can we go?
Yes,
So we
sir.
have one first and a second, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, number 3, want to get approval to move forward with the bidding out of the Kiss Street project. This is something that Lucas and I have been working on for a while. It's finally going to happen. We're looking at, it's a $700,000 project. $340,000 of it is from a multimodal grant. $150,000 is from Geisinger. And we're going to be chipping in $210,000 out of our state liquid fuel funds. And the school district is going to spend, how much, Lucas, on the sidewalks?
Over 150.
It's about 180.
Yeah.
What they're going to do to make this really going to be slick, they're going to rake their sidewalks back 8 feet from the existing curb. Yeah, 8 feet, and then we're extending it 3 feet on the other side. So it's going to be, it's like a 50-foot street now?
Well, it'll be 24 for travel and 8, it'll be about 35 feet wide.
35 feet wide.
Yep, for everybody to get off and get by.
So in the future, you can actually have 2 lanes, two-way traffic with the buses still there. So, and this will be constructing the road, reconstructing it from the Dorcas Street Bridge down to the Kiss Street Fleming interchange. So we just need to get this going so we can get the bid packages out. We'd like to have this in hand to open the bids at the April Finance Committee meeting.
Yes, sir.
And then what we're gonna do is use that time frame between the Finance Committee meeting and the May council meeting to make sure everything's in order and then vote on the final bid, award the bid on whatever that is. I think it's May the 12th.
Need a motion.
Second.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the last thing I have is, last year we started work on the railroad tracks down the middle of Chestnut Street. We concentrated on the area of the intersection of Chestnut and Pine Park Drive, or South Pine Road. Talked to the people at CEDACOG. They are going to continue with phase 2 this year. They're going to be addressing approximately 160 feet at the west end. 160 feet at the west end of Chestnut Street. So where the tracks kind of go across there diagonally and then they start down the center of the road. So they're going to be doing 160 feet this year. So I'm just giving you that for informational purposes. I figured you want to know that. And this is a 4-phase project that we hope to have knocked out in this year and then 2 more years. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to new and unfinished business, we need to reappoint Mr. William Parson for a 4-year term to the Planning Commission. Do so by resolution. Questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We also have an approval for the CDBG funds for Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I think that was at the table for us. Yeah. It was also in your consent, in your meeting, protected meeting minutes.
It was something that was approved by council back, I want to say, January or February of 2017. So this is just the payment of the CDBG funds to Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Second.
Questions, discussion?
How much money was that?
I think 2,500? Was it 5,000?
It was.
There's 2 in there, Venus.
Yeah.
This
$618.23.
Big Brother, Big Sister.
And $326. Oh, I'm sorry.
Isn't all borough business, is it?
Kelly.
Well, this has been approved and.
I thought we went through this before
It
and
was approved, but it was never dispersed.
we turned it down
4,000.
and not to give to them.
No, we didn't turn it down.
We did the second year, Larry. When they came back the
Second year.
following year, we said no. But the first year, you all approved it.
So we're just now spending
We
those
didn't
monies.
all.
We didn't
Well, you all
all approve it.
approved it.
All
Okay.
approved it,
Nah.
no.
But it was
Council as a
approved.
whole, how's that?
So we're going back and paying the 2017 a debt.
2016.
So,
No, we're not paying it again. It was
No, we're paying a debt that we should have
Yeah,
paid.
yeah, it was appropriated and never drawn down and paid.
no.
No.
Yeah, this is federal funds, CDBG.
CDBG.
We will not see the 18 funds for CDBG
Right.
probably December of this year. So 17 wasn't allocated until October of last year. So they're just getting around, the county allocates that money once they get it, so they're just getting around to
This was
allocating.
out of the 17 funds, but we didn't get the money for 17 until recently, so we couldn't pay it.
It was actually out of the 16 funds, but yeah, same
Whatever it
process.
is, but there's a real time lag between when you hear about CBDG money and when you actually get it.
Right.
You know, it takes a couple of years for us to get our money, so this is.
They may not get it.
Right. Okay, so we need to vote, correct?
Yes.
Take a roll call on this, please.
Frank Barrier,
No.
Dave Campbell,
Yeah.
Jim Felmley,
Yes.
Harry Seer,
No.
Mark Severs,
Yes.
Bill Wilson,
No.
Venus Shade.
Yeah. Yes.
I just don't feel that's right.
Well-
Using the money for something that
That doesn't pertain to anything in the borough.
Well, that was the
But
discussion.
the point was, that
Yeah.
it was
It's
approved
already
in
approved,
2017.
yeah.
Whoever was in council in 17 approved it.
It wasn't a specific project, it was operating funds for Big Brothers Big Sisters. So that's why some of us did not approve of it. They presented it as a specific project, but it wasn't.
When was this brought to council?
2016 is when the funds were, it was 2016 CDBG funds.
It was either 16, fall of 16 or 17.
They have to put
It'll be
the,
on
they
there.
have to put
It'll
the
be
year
on
on
our
there.
record.
Curious to look back on this, I guess, until I get
Let me see on the first page. No, no.
Yeah, and there's two distributions, one for July through September of 2018, and the other distribution is for October through December, so 6-month period. And we weren't the only ones, the borough here was not the only ones that contributed. Mifflin County did, Brown Township, and Granville Township as well.
Okay.
We have it. Okay. Next, we have streets. Mr. Wilson.
Looking for discussion on handicap parking space for 530 Valley. Which the lady lives right behind Old Goss's Candy Store on Valley, which is no parking. She wants one across the street and she had a hard time even getting there.
Where's she parking out? She parks
Over there, no, well, she's having a hard time parking because nobody wants her to park
Parking on
over
that side
there.
of the street now.
What's that?
How many handicap spaces are on that side now?
No.
What's that?
There's any on that side of the street now? The street, side of the street you're talking about, is there any handicap spaces?
There is one there now,
How far is it?
Down the hill?
down far
Down the road.
towards Fry's. But there isn't much parking there.
No, it's
Most of the
pretty-
time, she can't get there because there's not enough parking, but she figures if she has a space, she can get there. But anybody else can park there, has a
Correct.
placard.
That's correct.
And I think Bill's concern was that we talked about in streets, the fact that she does have a difficult time even crossing the street. But,
She's gotta step up, 2 steps to even get on the street before she can even get across. And she uses a cane with a claw on the bottom. And I know Mark said we're not responsible if anything
my
happens,
question.
but
Or essentially we need her to cross the road.
well, she's still got to cross the road regardless, Jamie, because she has nowhere to park.
And this isn't her space either. This
That's
is
correct.
a handicap parking
You
space.
don't mention that, that's correct.
Make a motion, we put a handicap space in.
Second.
What about the street behind her?
she don't have one.
Yeah, that side of the street doesn't have
She
one.
don't have one.
Dave, she is right on Valley Street, but there's no
yard,
room
there's
to
no street.
pull in front of her house.
Get down to, what is it,
No,
Central?
there's nothing.
There's nothing in between Central Avenue and Valley Street on her side.
Her backyard doesn't border.
She don't have a backyard.
It's just another structure.
Yep.
And she is aware that anybody with placards can park in that space.
Yeah, I've explained it, he's explained it. Rex, you went up there too. I mean,
Oh,
I do feel
I don't
bad
know
for
where, that's
her,
all.
but.
You know, if you call the borough, you chew people up because somebody's parked in a space.
Right.
Okay.
This has been something we've been dealing with since last summer, so.
Yeah,
You
it's
said
been a
you did
while.
check with Mark.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not responsible, but
Any motion, second on the table?
Well, yep, so all those in favor of the handicap spot? Say aye. Opposed? Okay.
okay, we got 3 to take out. People either passed away or they moved. First one is 1024 West 4th Street.
Make a motion, we remove it.
You want to take all three at one shot?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Make a
that.
motion, we remove all three.
Yep, 1024 West 4th, 800 West 6th Street, and 625 South Wayne.
So we have a motion to remove all three, we need a second.
I'll second.
Motion's been made properly second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the last thing I have is trying to get a street on the paving schedule for spring between S Tire and Boston's Hardware. It's Greenleaf Avenue, it goes down the alley. It's south of 4th Street to the alley, which is pretty bad. And we can do that in-house.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, Diana. Yep. Now we're to you,
That's all I
Mr.
got.
Thanks, Bill. Mark?
Okay, looking for approval to purchase a new 2019 Case 521F wheel loader from Groff Tractor. This is where we were looking last month, where we rejected all bids, and Groff actually had the one with the high miles but the lower price. And, yeah, I'm sorry, hours. So the price is $124,000 with a three-year warranty, and they also are a CoStar dealership.
Make a motion, we purchase it.
Second.
Properly made second. This is brand new, correct?
Yeah, this
Scott?
is brand spanking new, 3 years, like Mark said, warranty and service, they come here. The only thing that's not on there, which we feel, we've already talked to God, and there's not gonna be any more snow this spring. So at some point in the fall, we're gonna wanna ask for approval to buy a plow for this wheel loader, which will be a valuable tool for plowing snow. But that's
Price
it.
tag on that?
It's around 10,000. But
But that's still less than what we budgeted.
yeah, we
for the whole thing.
budgeted 180,000 for the wheel loader, Frank, so we're in good shape. 185. Thank you, Mark.
So is it,
Is it gonna be any cheaper to buy it now, or?
that's what I was gonna
Well,
get
I'm
into.
thinking around the 4th of July might be the best time to buy a plow.
Touche.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say.
We would still be under budget or.
Yeah.
Right.
I just wondered if it included in on the motion with it.
I think, we're just gonna get the wheel loader now, Larry, and then we'll shop around, and when we see the prices get to a point that we wanna bring up to council, we'll do so.
That's why I asked.
Yep.
So we have a first and a second, no questions or discussion. All those in favor of purchasing the Case wheel loader, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, second, I'm looking for approval to purchase a new Oakland compressor for the Borough Hall main floor, AVEC, in the amount of $6,577.09. It has a 1-year warranty and plus installation, but isn't the installation like $3,000,
Yes,
Scott?
yes, sir.
Okay, and wasn't the freight $200 as well? Or is that all included in that? In that 65.77?
That's total.
Okay.
Why are we only getting a 1-year warranty with that?
We looked at purchasing what was extending it 4 more years, but the total on the compressor is $65.77, and another 4-year warranty was $2,000. So we didn't feel that, since it was a third of the price of the compressor.
So that's all they give everybody is 1-year warranty?
Yeah.
How long the one we had last?
Oh my gosh, it's antique, isn't it?
20 years.
Yeah, it's been down here a while. I think Dave Fry bought it in the 1990s, Larry.
Make a motion, we buy it.
I'll second.
Motion's made properly second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Okay, lastly, I'm looking for approval to keep the wages for the summer help the same as last year. The new lifeguards will be paid $9 per hour. Returning lifeguards will be $10 per hour. The pool manager will be $11 per hour, and the streets department summer help at $8.75 per hour.
You want the ticket takers, who would the minimum wage rate?
Correct.
Motion's been seconded. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Now, we will take any comments from the public.
Hi there, my name's Nephi. Let me give you a little background. I have two rentals down at Pine Fork Store, down Pennybaker Avenue. And 2-3 weeks ago, I got a phone call that they smelled sewage. So, I like to be a good landlord. I went down and checked on it. I got Dave Dubois. Yes, it was backing up in their basement. So he put all new pipe, and I have these row houses. I have the first one and the second, and